This I'm putting on is 70% Zinsser's Clear Coat. I get it from Lowe's, Home Depot, and 30% denatured alcohol. I'm just going to pat that area. In fact, put a little bit in there, get it right into that bark area. Now this is shellac. When it dries, it'll actually hold that together a little bit as well. Right to there, right to that void. Get it on, put it on a circular motion. There we go. Some pretty grain in this. Seal it particularly well where the splits are. If you make sure you don't get any of the cloth breaking up, paper towel breaking up and catching in the grain. Down into there, for that area. Okay, so there we go. We're going to give that a minute or two to dry. Over it again. And then we'll start putting the powders in. Now it's going to look a mess. Don't worry. You're going to sand it all back, or maybe cut it with a tool. This stuff sands back very easily. If you don't get a lot of glue on and you get it piled up and all that. If you do that, you may have to just skim it over with a tool and then sand it. Otherwise, if you get it on fairly flat, it'll sand through very easily. Okay, so we'll give that a minute or two, and then we'll start using the fillers. Okay, so it's nice and dry now. What we can do is use the powders. So what I've decided to do is to use the dark cherry in the bigger splits, and then use red, orange and yellow in the smaller ones. So basically what you do, if it's a deep void, you might want to do this in two. Let's just see what happens on this. So there's the powders. Just get your powder, fill the void. A bit more. Push it to where you want it to be. Now that's slightly below the surface, which is okay. What you could do, I'm probably being slightly wasteful here, what you could do is fill some of the void with shavings, small bits of sawdust first, and build the void up. So you're using less of the powder. Let me just put that little bit in there. So that's kind of half full. What I'm using now is the super fine, super fast thin super glue. This is the Star Bond. I put a pipette on the end, and all you have to do is just drop the glue onto the surface of the powder. That will soak in. The capillary action will draw it in and stick it to the wood. Let's put a little bit in here. In there, there's a bit of purple in there. So now what we're going to do is fill that with more of this powder so it's slightly above the surface. Perfect. Just spread that out, and then we're going to re-glue it. Make sure it's built up. If it's not and you sand it back and it's there's a dull bit, you're going to have to redo it. So try and get it all done in one hit. I'll tell you what, whilst I'm here, I'm going to put some red into the areas that I can get on this plane. Obviously the glue's going to run slightly. I'm going to put a little bit of that purple in here as well. This is Kill Bill Red. Wow, that's bright. But that's what I want. I want to make a feature of these splits. What I don't want to do is fill them with sawdust and glue, because they just look filled with sawdust and glue. Get that hole filled into here. Just get it down into those splits. As I say, you may have to do it twice. Split there. Anywhere where there's a split, it's so fine, this powder, it'll take to the smallest of splits. You'll be amazed. So let's put some of that into there. They will blend. You can change the colours slightly. That's the other beauty of these. Put a little bit of red in this hole here. Right, so let's glue that area. I'll tell you what. Orange. No, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go into yellow. And some of these small splits in the top here. I may not get them all because. There we go. Now the glue's going to run here. I'll get into there. Right, let's put the glue on. Okay, that's pretty trippy up to now. So, just a little high there. There's a low. I feel there's a low. Put a little bit of glue on here. Don't worry if it runs too much. If it does, just give it a wipe so you don't have to sand a high spot of glue. Make sure you cover it all. Put this down here. And don't worry about how messy it looks, all this will clean up. If it washes out a little bit, you may again have to go over it, just fill it. Don't stick your finger to anything. There needs a bit more yellow. And so basically, we're going to continue on. Let's put some yellow in there. It's a nice, decent void. Yellow in there. And we'll come back to it when I'm finished. You'll see how messy it looks, but we'll clean it up, and then hopefully it's going to look super cool. If there's still any little blowholes, just fill up those individual ones there with whichever colour you want. So go make a cup of tea and come back in a minute or two. Okay, so here we are, all glued up. What I've decided to do, because I had to build it up, I'm trying to do this in one hit. We'll see how it works out. There's a lot of glue build up. That will be very difficult to sand, even with a coarser grit. So I'm going to use the wing of my long ground bore gouge, drop it slightly, do a real fine shear cut across there. So we've got reds, oranges, purples, yellows, oranges in there, yellows. We're going to skim it and see what happens. The tool's going to kick a little bit from the glue, so try and turn it as fast as you can, and as you can safely, or you've got the confidence to. It'll be better for you. Take small careful cuts and keep stopping and inspecting it. You could, if you wanted to, as you were going along, refill them and re-skim it, or skim the whole lot and refill any. It can sometimes look good if there's slight voids in there as well. That's up to 2200. Just making sure there's no glue coming out. Feel anything wet. Be careful, you may have sealed some glue and there might be little wet patches in there. When you cut through them, you might release the skin and you'll get glue. Be careful. You can hear the high spots from the glue. But basically I'm trying to go back to the colour of the wood. I can feel a few high spots there. And down here. opposite way. Still see where the glue is, that dark band. Let's cut through that. Move the tool rest to get closer down here, and we're going to skim this bit. Let's stop that and have a look. There's a bit more to go down there. Okay, neat. Orange going into yellow, orange. There's a bit more skimming down here. Orange going into yellow there. That'll skim back. A bit more skimming there. That's really nice. All the dust from colours, okay, it's come out of that hole. That should have been done twice. That's filled up. There's a little bit of a void there. I could skim that back. That needs refilling. But you can see how the colours, that's looking really cool. I'm going to go back, I'm going to seal this again. In fact, whilst I'm here, I'll seal it. I can get a bit of paper towel. Sorry, I'm going to step right out shot. Really, really bad. Should have been prepared. But just to show you what the contrast is going to be, I've got to seal this anyway, because I don't want the glue staying around there. That's what it's going to look like, kind of varied out. That's really neat, rather than just filling it with the same colour. And using those warm colours, I think, have worked really nice rather than the cold colours. But then again, try it. Break the rules and see what it looks like. Yeah, it just pops those areas there. The other good thing about doing this is it holds the piece together. It's more likely to hold together as you're hollowing out without those big splits in. A lot of people nowadays are having accidents. They're turning wood that, wow, they're lucky to get away with sometimes, in my view. So just be safe. Don't injure yourself or anybody else over a piece of wood. Right, yeah, I'm going to go back, refill some of these. After that, it is what it is. I don't mind if there's a slight void in there. It looks then intentional. That's why I've used bright colours. It looks intentional. I'm not trying to match the wood. It's impossible trying to fill that with sawdust and glue. It's an old-fashioned technique. Worked well years ago, but I think this is a lot nicer. It's almost like glass now. Almost like blown glass. Okay, I'll refill it, skim it, and we'll have a look. And then what I'm going to do is sand it, finish the outside, we'll turn it around, hold it on the tender. I'm going to cut this bit off, make that slightly smaller. It's a lot to cut in the bandsaw. Cut this off on the bandsaw, hold it in the chuck, and then we're going to start doing the hollowing. Okay, so excellent, be back shortly.